After I was reborn, the first thing I did was send my pet dog to a breeding kennel. That's because in my past life, my adopted sister, Daisy, had leukemia and was on the verge of death. But her brother and fiancé, who always doted on her, didn't care about her condition at all. On my 18th birthday, my brother gave me a little white poodle puppy. My fiancé gave me a white jade safety buckle necklace. A month later, I suddenly discovered that I had swapped bodies with my pet dog, and my original body was occupied by Daisy. Daisy held a fireplace poker and dug into my body over and over again. My brother and fiancé even personally skinned my dog hide and chopped my flesh into pieces, which they stewed into a pot of savory meat. After I died, Daisy and the others ate the savory meat hot pot, while Daisy laughed and cursed that May was a fool. This woman even dared to steal my man. Only then did I realize that Daisy's soul had been residing in the poodle's body all along. She was just waiting for me to wear that necklace for a month, so she could take over my body and be reborn. I died with my eyes wide open, full of resentment. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day my brother gave me the poodle. This time, without a word, I took the poodle directly to a breeding kennel. I told the boss to mate her. I want this female dog to have 10 puppies. After the birthday party, my brother Tom and childhood friend David finally arrived late. Tom looked guilty and said, "Little May, I'm sorry. I was delayed by something at the company and couldn't make it to your birthday. This is your present from me. See if you like it." As Tom spoke, he held a white, purebred poodle in front of me, and my fiancé David was also by my brother's side, praising it highly. "Big brother went to a lot of places to pick out this pet dog for you. This little poodle is a show dog, very expensive. You can see how much thought Big Brother put into it for you." Hearing David's voice, I suddenly felt a jolt. I had actually been reborn. At the same time, seeing that white poodle, I stepped back repeatedly in fear. Tom thought I was mad at him, so he deliberately took 2 steps forward with the little poodle. "Little May, look. How cute is this little dog?" Tom's eyes were full of affection, but I fearfully reached out and pushed it away. The poodle yelped when I pushed it. Woof woof. Seeing this, my fiancé instinctively turned around and protected the little poodle. Tom's brows also furrowed instantly. He angrily scolded me, "Little May, you're really going too far. This is a gift I carefully selected for you. Don't be so ungrateful." These 2 jerks. Daisy had already turned into a dog, but they were still so worried about her. At this moment, I came back to my senses and smiled faintly. In my past life, my brother picked up an orphan girl outside and insisted that my parents adopt Daisy. From then on, Daisy moved into our house, eating and living with me. She quickly won my parents' hearts, and even my fiancé David favored Daisy more. He would constantly scold me, saying I wasn't even as good as Daisy's little toe. Later, Daisy was diagnosed with leukemia and was on the verge of death. My brother and David knew about this, but they were unusually calm. They sent Daisy abroad and never mentioned her name again. My usually distant big brother and fiancé, in order to mend our relationship, even gave me expensive gifts. On my 18th birthday, I had always wanted a dog, and my brother gave me a white poodle. I was incredibly excited, but this little poodle seemed a bit off. In front of outsiders, it was well behaved, but only when we were alone in a room. This little poodle would become unusually agitated. One time, I wanted to give the little poodle a bath, but it became extremely agitated and bit my wrist, almost biting off half of my hand. My parents were also away on a business trip, and there was no one at home. There was nothing I could do. I could only go to get a rabies shot overnight. And every night, I would bring the little poodle to sleep in the same room as me. But the little poodle insisted on sleeping on the bed. One time late at night, I was half asleep and felt a burning sensation on my cheek. When I opened my eyes, I discovered that the little poodle had peed on my face. Its mischievous acts didn't stop there. It would poop on my vanity, deliberately knock over all my cosmetics, and even my food. it would deliberately lick. And every time the little poodle caused trouble, it would deliberately raise its chin high and stare at me fiercely with an extremely hostile gaze. I even noticed that this little poodle's eyes could turn red. Its eyes were terrifying, as if it wanted to devour me. The day after getting the vaccine, I held up my bleeding right hand and complained to my brother and David. "Brother, I always feel like there's something wrong with that little dog. It's too irritable." But Tom chewed me out. "May, I think you're the one with the problem. Millet is so well behaved. It's usually very gentle with everyone. I think you're the pervert. You must have been tormenting it in private. That's why it bit you." David also sided with my big brother, accusing me of being temperamental and not knowing how to raise a pet. Tom said angrily, "Let's wait a few days. If you really don't like Millet, I'll take it away in a few days." I never expected that 1 month after my birthday party, when I woke up that morning, I suddenly discovered that I was living in a dog's body, and a woman who looked exactly like me, holding a fireplace poker, violently struck down towards my head. I desperately barked, but what came out was a series of woofs. And then my big brother and David appeared. They were holding boning knives, ready to skin and debone me. Only then did I realize that Daisy had not been sent abroad by them at all, but had used some method to suppress her soul in the little poodle's body. Big brother and David had put in so much effort just to let Daisy occupy my body and help Daisy be reborn. I was Tom's biological sister. I was David's fiancée by arranged marriage. But these two men who were closest to me, for Daisy's sake, not only personally skinned and deboned me, but also stewed my flesh and bones into a large pot of savory meat hot pot for Daisy to nourish her body. Coming back to my senses, seeing Tom and David in front of me, I smiled faintly. "Big brother, David, I'm so sorry. I was too excited just now. That's why I scared this little dog. This little dog is so cute. Big brother, thank you for your gift." As I spoke, I hugged the little poodle in my arms. And then, I secretly and fiercely pinched the little poodle. The little poodle let out an earth-shattering yelp. I frowned slightly. Is this dog crazy? Why is it barking randomly all the time? My brother, feeling sorry for the dog, snatched it away. "It's not because you're clumsy and don't even know how to hold a pet. I'll take Millet upstairs first and put it on your bed." At this moment, my big brother turned his head and gave David a look. David immediately took out a jade pendant from his pants pocket. The jade pendant was pure white and flawless, shaped like a simple safety buckle. "Little May, this is the gift I prepared for you. This safety buckle is very valuable. We're about to get married. I'll help you put it on your neck. You absolutely must not take it off." David repeatedly emphasized that I must wear the safety buckle every day until we got married. As he spoke, he couldn't wait to tie the safety buckle around my neck. At this moment, I reached out and touched the safety buckle. It was ice cold, sending shivers down my spine. In my past life, on my birthday, my big brother gave me a little poodle, and David gave me this safety buckle. I guess the reason I swapped bodies with the poodle in my past life was because this safety buckle played a big role. I didn't say anything on the surface and slowly returned to my room. At this moment, the little poodle had already messed up my room completely. There was a clear yellow pee stain on my pillow, and the cosmetics on my vanity were all knocked to the floor. Even the water cup I usually drank from actually had a pile of dog poop soaking in it. Without a word, I grabbed the little poodle by the back of its neck and slapped its head more than 10 times. The little poodle yelped when I hit it. I glared fiercely at this animal. "You mutt. If you dare to cause trouble again, I'll skin you, take apart your bones, and stew you into savory meat hot pot." The little poodle seemed scared by my beating. It whimpered twice, with a hint of fear in its eyes. Just then, my big brother and David suddenly burst into my room. My big brother snatched the little poodle from my hand. "May, you're going too far. How could you abuse Millet? It's just a little dog. I just heard Millet crying miserably. You're so vicious to a little dog. You're practically not human." My big brother raged. his eyes red with heartache. At this moment, I pointed at the cosmetic shards all over the floor, the messy bed, and the dog poop in the teacup. What do you mean I'm bullying a dog? Look at what this animal has done. Tom, if you care about this dog so much, eat the dog poop. As I spoke, I picked up the teacup and was about to pour it into Tom's mouth. My big brother's body tensed up in fear. He desperately turned his head, then reached out and knocked the teacup to the floor. Oh, Millet just came to our house. It's a bit shy. Why are you arguing with the dog? My big brother said, and could only softly comfort me helplessly. It's just a few cosmetics, right? I'll buy you new ones. And your bed sheets and duvet covers. I'll buy you 10 more sets. All silk ones. Little May, you have to be nice to Millet. Otherwise, don't blame me for not recognizing you as my sister. In front of my big brother, I patted the little poodle's head twice. I still hoped this animal would understand human ways. Otherwise, I wouldn't be polite. A dog trying to get on top of me. What a dog's dream. David saw my fierce appearance and muttered angrily, I really don't know how Uncle and Aunt raised such a fierce and overbearing daughter. Daisy is still gentle and has the demeanor of a rich young lady. Although David's voice was low, I heard every single word. I raised my hand and slapped David across the face. You like Daisy so much. Go find her abroad. Go die with her. Why are you still engaged to me? David's face was full of anger, but he didn't dare to act out. After all, he and my big brother knew in their hearts that they absolutely could not offend me at this critical moment. At least not until a month later. David pretended to smile faintly. Little May, you misunderstood. You're the only one in my heart. As long as you wear the jade pendant I gave you properly around your neck, I'll give you a big surprise. In a month. My big brother, however, remained silent. He just kept reminding me that there was newly bought Wagyu beef and seafood in the fridge. Millet was a show dog, so its daily diet must be exquisite. It only drank pure milk and ate Wagyu beef. When I wasn't home, I had to take good care of Millet. After my big brother and David left the room, I immediately ordered an iron chain online and a few bags of the cheapest, low-quality dog food. An animal wanting to eat Wagyu beef? Why doesn't it eat shit? I glared fiercely at the little poodle. The little poodle seemed to sense something and hid in the corner, but the dog's gaze towards me was still eerie, as if I were its father's killer. After the delivery guy delivered the iron chain and dog food, I immediately chained the little poodle and locked it in the bathroom. An animal wanting to sleep on the bed? As for eating Wagyu beef, that was a pipe dream. Dogs should eat dog food, especially the kind that promotes weight gain and contains hormones. Otherwise, if the puppy doesn't get fat, how can it please its owner? From then on, my brother, who was usually a workaholic, came home for a few hours almost every day. And David, who had always been distant, also came to my house every few days. After a few days, they saw that the little poodle had lost a lot of weight. My brother held the little poodle, crying his eyes out. David even secretly whispered to the little poodle, Daisy, just bear with it for a while longer. In just 1 month, you can swap bodies with May. By then, we'll get married, and everything will fall into place. You can also truly become Brother Tom's sister, and you two siblings can be reunited. Through the surveillance camera in the room, I heard David saying these words. Only then did I suddenly realize with a shock that Daisy was actually my brother's biological sister. Although Tom and I were related by blood, we didn't have the same mother. Thinking back, when my dad broke up with his first love, he turned around and married my mom. I never expected that just 3 months after they got married, my dad's first love came to our house, holding a little boy in her arms. That first love said that this little boy was my dad's biological son, but my dad swore to God that he had been with his first love for half a year, but they had never had physical intimacy. It wasn't until that first love admitted that she had secretly gotten into my dad's bed after he had been drinking. Although my mom was furious at the time, she still agreed for my dad and that little boy to do a paternity test. The test results showed that the little boy was indeed my dad's biological son. My mom was quite generous, so she took the little boy home and raised him as her own son. This little boy was Tom. But from then on, my dad's first love never appeared again. Could it be that Tom secretly contacted his biological mother and then brought back his other half-sister? My heart was uneasy. I secretly saved the surveillance video on my phone and then prepared to find someone to investigate. At the same time, even though my big brother and David noticed that I wasn't treating the little poodle well, they still didn't dare to show anything on the surface. My big brother kept giving David a look, telling David to keep waiting. As long as the 1-month period was up, their big plan could be completed. And of course, I couldn't just sit there and wait. I secretly found a friend and ordered an identical safety buckle. As for the original safety buckle, I wrapped it in gold and made it into a square Buddha amulet. Taking advantage of this opportunity, I also contacted several breeding kennels until I found a very irregular one. There were over 100 wild dogs kept there. All of those dogs had skin diseases and red eyes, looking like mad dogs. These dogs were both male and female and were tortured into inhumane conditions. They were as thin as bones. I asked the kennel boss how much it would cost to breed a dog. The kennel boss was a bald big man. Seeing that I was dressed luxuriously, he quoted an exorbitant price of at least $30,000. I smiled calmly and easily transferred $50,000. Then, I showed the kennel boss a picture of the little poodle. This is the little poodle. It's a show dog. You need to find a way to make it have as many puppies as possible. Breed it to death. Ideally, it can have 10 puppies in one litter. See if there's a way. The bald boss reached out and pointed at the hundreds of mad dogs in the kennel. We have so many kinds of dogs in our factory. Having many puppies is definitely not a problem. It's just that this little poodle is so small. I think we need to give it some strong medicine. As the boss spoke, he gave me a bag of pink powder. This is the strongest animal stimulant. As long as you give it to the poodle, it's guaranteed to have plenty of energy. Then put it in my kennel. Just one day. I guarantee it will get pregnant. I took the stimulant and happily returned home. I specifically fried a piece of A5 Wagyu beef. Didn't my big brother keep reminding me to give the little poodle dog meat? Then of course I had to fulfill his wish. As I was frying the steak in a pan, I poured a sufficient amount of stimulant into the pan. The stimulant mixed with the smell of butter, instantly filling the entire kitchen with a strange smell that was somewhat like curry. After cooking, I put the steak aside to cool. I had just sat down at the dining table to drink some water when I suddenly smelled a pungent, fishy smell in my water cup. As the cup approached my lips, and there were some faint yellow traces on the rim of the cup, I immediately knew this must have been the little poodle's doing again. It must have been the little poodle splashing pee into my water cup again. But when I left the house in the morning, I clearly chained the dog in the bathroom. How did it get out? Just then, a familiar figure flashed behind me. Oh, are your aunt? I'm the hourly worker the young master hired. My last name is Huang. You can just call me Aunt Huang. Aunt Huang. In my past life, around the same time, my big brother hired an hourly worker, saying she was responsible for taking care of me. Because my parents were busy with work, they had been on a business trip abroad for 2 months. There was originally a nanny at home, but for some unknown reason last month, the old nanny insisted on quitting. From then on, only I was left in the huge villa. Because I always preferred quiet, I didn't hire anyone else. Occasionally, I would call a cleaning company and hire an hourly worker to come home and tidy up the house. In my past life, it was today that my big brother invited Aunt Huang home, saying she would work 5 hours a day, specifically responsible for taking care of my food and daily life. But Aunt Huang's cooking wasn't good, and she just went through the motions with me every day. I asked her to help me wash clothes, but there were still obvious stains on the clothes after they were washed. Aunt Huang also didn't clean the house very well. What she did every day was walk the dog, make beef for the little poodle in various ways, and even boil pork bone soup for the little poodle. In my past life, Until I died. I didn't notice anything unusual. Now thinking carefully about this Wendy, her eyebrows bore some resemblance to Daisy's, and Aunt Huang's cheeks also had a pair of faint dimples, which were exactly the same as Daisy's. Dimples are genetic. Could it be that there was a connection between the Wendy in front of me and Daisy? As I thought this, I didn't say much. I nodded slightly and asked the Wendy in front of me, "Did you see the dog I chained in the bathroom?" Hearing me mention the dog, a hint of heartache appeared in Wendy's eyes. I saw it. I thought the little thing was quite pitiful, so I unchained it. "Millet is playing in your room now." I didn't say much, just told Wendy to quickly clean up the dining room. Then I took the steak upstairs and went back to my bedroom. I saw that my bed sheets and duvet cover were once again covered in poop and pee by the little poodle. Even some of my high-end clothes had been bitten full of holes by that little animal, and there was yellow pee on them. Today the little poodle's fur was shiny, soft and white, obviously having just had a bath. Seeing the mess all over the room, my first reaction wasn't anger. Instead, I put the steak in my hand, in front of that animal. "Here, you animal. My big brother specifically wanted me to ask if you want to eat A5 Wagyu beef. Why don't you stuff yourself to death? Such a waste of a good piece of beef." As I spoke, I threw the plate onto the bed. Then I pretended to sit beside it and played with my phone as if nothing happened. At the same time, the corner of my eye was always on that little poodle. The little animal circled the plate a few times, smelling it. These past few days, I had only been feeding it dog food, but the little poodle refused to eat it. This animal had lost a lot of weight. Now that it finally saw good beef, the little poodle sniffed a few times, then wagged its tail and ate heartily. Seeing this, I smiled. Then I sent a text message to a friend, asking him to help me investigate Wendy's background. I didn't know until I investigated, and I was shocked. In just a few hours, my friend had investigated Wendy's entire background. This Wendy was actually my big brother's biological mother. Not only that, she was also Daisy's biological mother. It turned out that back then, after Wendy left my big brother with the family, she never left a city, but worked in a factory in the suburbs of a city, and she married a factory worker. A few years later, Wendy gave birth to Daisy. Daisy and my big brother Tom were half-siblings from the same mother. 3 years ago, Wendy's husband was caught soliciting prostitutes in the red light district and got into an argument with another customer over a prostitute. They ended up fighting. Wendy's husband didn't hold back and injured the other man, damaging his nerves and leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. From then on, that man was sent to prison, and Wendy was also fired from the factory, completely losing her source of income. At the same time, these years, Wendy had been secretly contacting my big brother through private messages, and my big brother felt sorry for his biological mother, and even more for Daisy, his sister. So he brought Daisy home, saying she was an orphan and a poor student, and then forced my parents to take Daisy in as their adopted daughter and live in our house. Understanding these circumstances, I remained calm. That night, after Wendy got off work, I chained the little poodle up again. And this time, not only did I feed it the stimulant, I also bought a syringe and diluted the stimulant with water, injecting it into its body bit by bit. By about 10 p.m., the little poodle was lying on the ground, gasping for breath. At the same time, I contacted the kennel owner and sent the little poodle directly to the kennel. In the blink of an eye, it was the next morning. I had just woken up and found that Wendy had already arrived at the villa. She was holding a rag and was about to go into my room to clean. I deliberately placed the gold Buddha amulet with the safety buckle wrapped inside on the bedside table. Wendy was light-fingered. In my past life, when she worked as an hourly cleaner at my house, I noticed that she had tampered with many of my jewelry pieces. I let Wendy into the room and told her to tidy up my vanity first. When she pulled open the vanity drawer, it was full of gold and silver jewelry, making Wendy's eyes light up. I held the large gold Buddha amulet and dangled it in front of Wendy's eyes. "Aunt Huang, do you like gold?" Wendy was startled by my question. "Yes, I do." I casually stuffed the Buddha amulet into Wendy's hand. "Then it's for you." This Buddha amulet was a gift from a classmate a few days ago for my birthday. Although gold is valuable, it's too tacky. Besides, I'm wearing the safety buckle that Brother David gave me around my neck now. You have no idea. Brother David is my fiancé, and he put in a lot of effort to give me this valuable gift. As I spoke, I deliberately touched the fake safety buckle on my neck. Wendy nodded in satisfaction. She also couldn't help but remind me, "Oh, this jade pendant is really beautiful. It looks very valuable. You must wear it every day. If you lose it, your fiancé will definitely be sad." As Wendy spoke, hearing that I was giving her the Buddha amulet, she couldn't wait to immediately hang the gold around her neck. Then, Wendy looked around the room with the rag, and then cautiously asked me, "Where is the dog at home? Why haven't I seen Millet?" I immediately frowned. "Aunt Huang, am I your employer? Or is that dog your employer? I sent that dog away. Don't look for it." As I spoke, I stretched lazily. Wendy heard this and stomped her feet in anxiety, but she didn't dare to show anything in front of me. I saw Wendy holding her phone, sneaking into the kitchen to make a call. About half an hour later, Tom and David both rushed over. As soon as Tom entered the house, he couldn't wait to shout, "May, get out here. Where did you send Millet?" David's eyes were also spitting fire. "May, you're absolutely vicious. Millet is so cute. Why are you specifically targeting it?" At this moment, the more anxious Tom and David were, the more I wanted to laugh in my heart. I sat on the soft sofa and said nonchalantly, "It's just an animal, that's all. Why are you so anxious?" Tom grabbed my wrist and glared at me fiercely. "Hurry up and tell me who you gave Millet to." I shrugged my shoulders. "Ate it, skinned it, deboned it, stewed it into savory meat hot pot." My eyes were full of playful smiles. When David heard this, he was so scared he almost fainted. Tom, on the other hand, was smarter. He knew I never ate dog meat. "May, don't mess around. If you really don't like Millet, I'll pick it up in a few days. Hurry up and tell me where you sent it." I slightly parted my red lips. Since it's a female dog, and it's a valuable show dog, of course I want it to breed as much as possible. Millet is at the kennel in the suburbs. It should be a mother by now, I guess. Hearing my words, David's eyes rolled back, and he almost passed out. Wendy was even more anxious, tears streaming down her face. Tom, on the other hand, was the calmest. He immediately rushed out of the villa, got into his car, and prepared to go to the kennel to pick up Millet. But I had given the kennel owner a good price. Last night, when I had the kennel owner take the little poodle away, I specifically instructed him to breed it that very night. The sooner the better. Of course, I couldn't miss such a scene. I also drove my car and followed behind Tom's car. David also drove, taking Wendy with him. A few of us went to the kennel together. Entering the premises, we saw the little poodle, surrounded by dozens of wild dogs in the center. The little poodle had eaten the stimulant and had been messed with all night. Now it was foaming at the mouth and lying in the middle, barely alive. Seeing this, David anxiously picked up a stick and swung it at the wild dogs around the little poodle. Unfortunately, there were too many wild dogs in the kennel, and as soon as David picked up a weapon, a pack of wild dogs rushed towards David. Even though David and Tom resisted, they couldn't handle the sheer number of dogs in the kennel. David was bitten on the thigh by a black Tibetan Mastiff, and Tom was bitten on the arm by a large yellow dog, tearing off a piece of his flesh. In the end, the kennel owner stepped in. As soon as the owner blew a whistle, these wild dogs, as if they could understand human speech, immediately returned to their cages. At this moment, David and Tom were both injured, but they were still incredibly worried about the little poodle. David ignored the wound on his thigh, and instead took the little poodle to the pet hospital first for examination. The two men were so agitated over a dog, it was completely insane. This scene was both funny and ridiculous. David and Tom were busy with this dog all day long. while I went back to the villa alone and slept soundly. I knew that the time was not yet ripe. No matter what I did, they wouldn't touch me. That night, Tom brought the little poodle home alone. His face was gloomy, and it was obvious he had been crying. He probably hated me to death at this point, but he still didn't dare to be violent. He just spoke to me in a soft voice. May, I'm warning you, don't cause any more trouble. Take care of Millet for me for another month, and then I'll send it away. You are not allowed to take her to the kennel, otherwise I'll fight you to the death. I raised my eyebrows nonchalantly. It's just a dog. If you don't trust me, take it away now. But Tom roared like a madman. No. It seemed my idea was almost correct. For me to swap bodies with Daisy, I not only had to wear that safety buckle around my neck for a month, but I also had to ensure that Daisy stayed with me the entire month. So I immediately came up with an idea. Oh, didn't you hire an hourly worker? Tomorrow, give Aunt Huang more money and let her live with us. From now on, Aunt Huang will be in charge of taking care of Millet the whole time. Hearing my words, Tom finally breathed a sigh of relief. The next morning, Wendy moved into my house and was solely responsible for taking care of that little animal. Wendy truly doted on that little animal as if it were her own daughter, giving it baths, combing its fur, and even tying a beautiful pink bow around the little animal's neck. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Early that morning, Tom and David rushed into my room impatiently. David ran to the bed and hugged me tightly. Daisy, it happened. It finally happened. You're finally back by my side. That's great, Daisy. At this moment, I rolled my eyes at David. Then I suddenly pushed him away and slapped him across the face. You pervert. Are you sick, David? I'm warning you. Even though we're engaged, we're not married yet. I won't allow you to act like a pervert. Hearing my tone, David's expression was horrified. You're May? I twirled a strand of my hair around my finger. Nonsense. If I'm not May, am I your mom? David exchanged a very surprised look with Tom. He muttered this. How is this possible? Tom grabbed David's wrist and whispered, don't alert her yet. Maybe it's not time. Hearing this, David glared at me fiercely. Then he suddenly ripped at my clothes until he saw the safety buckle still hanging around my neck. Only then did David breathe a sigh of relief. Then the two of them walked out of my room. I changed my clothes, waiting for the show to begin. The first thing these two did after leaving the room was naturally to go to the maid's room to see the little poodle. I even saw that David had a rope tied around his waist, so he wanted to get rid of me so badly that he even prepared a rope. But when they got to the maid's room, and the door was just pushed open, at this moment, Wendy jumped out of the room. With a spring in her step, Wendy immediately jumped into David's arms. Brother David, we did it. It happened, Wendy said, holding a bloody hook in her hand. Wendy's face was full of malicious glee. We finally did it. Early this morning, I found that I could talk like a human. I had hands, and I had legs, and I had already taken care of that animal. That mutt. When I woke up this morning, it still dared to bark. I used a hook to gouge its head and dug out its eyes. Wendy spoke excitedly, completely unaware of the surprised looks in David and Tom's eyes. At the same time, David pushed Wendy away. You old woman. What do you want to do? Old woman? What old woman? Wendy was bewildered. At this moment, only Tom came to his senses. Tom rushed into the maid's room and saw the bloody poodle lying on the floor. Tom let out a heart-wrenching scream. Hearing Tom call her mom, Wendy was also stunned. She hurriedly ran into the bathroom to look in the mirror. When she saw her face, Daisy was completely stunned. How did I turn into my mom's appearance? What's going on? At this moment, standing upstairs, I felt like laughing with excitement. I triumphantly clapped for them. Oh, Aunt Huang, didn't you really like Millet? Why did you kill that animal? And brother, you're really ridiculous. Calling a female dog mom. Are you perhaps born of a female dog? Seeing the situation, they finally realized that everyone had been tricked by me. David shook his head frantically. How is this possible? That safety buckle. I yanked the jade pendant from my neck. You mean this? What's around my neck is made of stone. Can't none of you tell? As for the real one, of course I wrapped it in gold and gave it to Aunt Huang. And at this moment, Wendy, no? To be precise, Daisy. Daisy squatted on the ground, crying sorrowfully. You can only swap lives once. Am I going to be stuck with this old body for the rest of my life? May, I want you dead. It's all your fault. And Tom was so agitated he vomited blood. After all, his biological mother had been gouged bloody by his biological sister with a fireplace poker and had her eyes dug out. These three people frantically rushed up the stairs, wanting to die with me. Just then, I clapped my hands lightly. Several muscular men in black suits immediately rushed out of my room. These men in black were bodyguards I had hired in advance, and they were hiding upstairs in my house. The bodyguards were well trained, and in just a few punches and kicks, they pinned Tom, David, and Wendy to the ground. Even so, Tom was still laughing like a madman. May, you won't be triumphant for long. Let me tell you, your dad and mom are going to die soon. The entire Shen group is under my control. I am the sole heir. The day I take over the Shen group, I will personally kill you to avenge my mom. Just then, a stern voice sounded from the entrance of the villa. Tom, who are you going to kill? It was none other than my dad who spoke. It turned out that Tom and David were not only plotting against me, but also against my dad and mom. In my past life after I died, my dad and mom didn't return from their business trip either. Tom bribed my dad's driver, and when my parents were away on a business trip, the driver deliberately faked a car accident, killing both of my parents. This life after I was reborn, the first thing I did was contact my parents and tell them everything about my past life. So my parents were already wary, and they also ended their business trip early and rushed back to a city. Seeing my parents standing safely at the entrance, Tom shook his head frantically. It's over, it's all over this time. And my dad was furious with this illegitimate son. Tom, you've disappointed me so much. May is your biological sister, and you actually wanted to kill her. Your Aunt Ma and I have nurtured you so much all these years, and you want to harm us. Tom roared like a madman. Don't think I don't know. You've always been the most biased. You trained me, but only to be an assistant. You want to move all the family's assets to that girl May. Just because my mom is from the countryside, you want to abandon her. Just because I'm not the son born of this Jan woman. So you're satisfied with favoring May. I want to kill you. Kill you, you ungrateful wretch. Kill all of you. At this moment, I sighed helplessly. Tom, you are truly as vicious as your biological mother. Thinking back then, I never even dated your biological mother. And you are not my biological son at all. You are my brother's child. But because my brother died young, and your mother was pregnant, I had no choice but to admit that I had dated your mother in order to give you a home. Tom heard my dad's words, and he said frantically, No, it's impossible. This is impossible. This isn't true. My dad was completely disappointed in Tom, and immediately ordered the bodyguards to drive him out of the house. As for David, the family's business had always relied on our group. My dad just had to lift a finger, and in less than a month, the family declared bankruptcy. David's whole family could only go begging on the streets. As for Daisy, although she had taken over Wendy's body, Wendy was old after all, and also had cancer. In just a few months, Wendy also died in the hospital. In the blink of an eye, I received the admission letter from a prestigious university abroad. I prepared to study finance abroad, so I could inherit the family business after returning to the country. As for that dead dog named Millet, I eventually made it into savory meat hot pot. It's just that I never eat dog meat in this life. I sent the hot pot to the kennel. Original soup, original food. Let those wild dogs finish the savory meat hot pot. End.